Huh. What's happening, Puff? I'll be back to you.
Huh. What's going on, Puff? I'll have returned to you assuming JD Ain had enough better believe it being Ask Me Music Bab Kid that is for what reason he never is no place re-upping coos. He re-up owe you a supper man, I owe you a super I clearly can't stand to get anything like I told Pup I don't. Allow men to take me out, sir. I'm great. You all so feline Williams is back spilling his tea, and this time he has Diddy in his sights since he just emerged to discuss some truly obscure stuff that Diddy purport. Edley does to young men yet besides the fact that computer-aided design uncovering is Diddy, yet he is likewise accompanying some major areas of strength for really about the young men Diddy purportedly prepared, and you all should take a little seat for this since things are going to get insane wet. We're in the studio, he said. Yeah, I'ma off and get them and pip them out to my okay, so assuming there's one male that continues to spill this tea on the haziest, shadiest pieces of Hollywood. Is Feline Williams this person got all the fiery tea on everyone and anybody in the business, and he doesn't hush up about that tea either in light of the fact that he is more than prepared to spill the tea until the end of us currently he's been quiet since the entire Diddy show started off and fans have been asking why he hasn't uttered a word cuz Feline never avoids points like this currently. I'm not saying he's simply a clout chaser or any such thing because he's a long way from it since he's certainly not doing it for clout and in regards to the Diddy issue incidentally. He was only trusting that the ideal second will release every one of the delicious subtleties and trust me he has a load of stories to spill you. See Lowlife has forever been one of those individuals focusing a light on the not-so-glitzy side of Hollywood quite some time in the past, he was one of the first to uncover that the reports about Hollywood having a clouded side are truth be told genuine particularly with regard. D's to the Illuminati computer-aided design has consistently demanded that the bits of hearsay about the Illuminati are paranoid fears as well as realities significantly more. He has proclaimed his disdain and alludes to himself as being hostile to illuminate a few of us are against the illumination. And we are against the Illuminati at our own hindrance when individuals are against the Illuminati. Then they get hit directly upside the head constantly. The press loathes them, and no one enjoys them. And the cool thing about it is that he never sneaks around reality and tells it for all intents and purposes. And that is the very thing he's doing in this current circumstance with Diddy. As per computer-aided design, Diddy's not into supposedly prepping youthful craftsmen, he's making it a stride further purportedly doing an unspeakable things to keep them calm under his influence, things being what they are. Feline has been calling out Diddy obscure business for years. Yet the issue was that relatively few people were paid consideration then, since we didn't know exactly the way that terrible Diddy with certain individuals discussed how unusual Diddy was. You know, a couple of remarks about how he frequently assumed praise for his craftsmen works without paying them for the work they did, however, at that point, Cassie's claim truly opened up our eyes to the clouded side of Diddy that he had supposedly figured out how to stow away from the world, and it made things look downright horrendous for him. Cassie spilled the tea, claiming that Diddy had prepared her during her experience on his late, exposing her to 11 years of abuse. And it's not only a terrible supervisor circumstance on the grounds that not in the least did she not gain a ton of headway under terrible kid records, yet he was like, why? Purportedly fierce to her during the relationship, and she guaranteed that he got actual leaving her body wounded. Yet that is not all. The claim included claims of attack and upsetting cases that Diddy supposed Lee pimped her out to male escorts while he observed, no doubt you all Cassie let it all out and things have taken a dim turn since she let the cat out of the bag. Now that we've seen this side of Diddy, fans are doing a twofold return, glimming to what Feline Williams alluded to. You are familiar the way that Diddy purportedly utilized youthful specialists and acted frightening towards them, okay? So how about we toss it back somewhat to or quite a while back, Feline toss conceal at Diddy and Jermaine E. Dupree recommending that they did a horrendous things to the confused young men and how this purportedly prompted one of the young men down a damaging way going to drugs as a getaway, before unfortunately having a medication glut in 2013. Now for those not in the know, the bungle young men were Chris Kelly and Chris Smith. You realize crisscross, so take you leap hop these two young men who soar into popularity in their mid-90s hitting hotshot status at only 12 and 13, yet like numerous kid stars in Hollywood, they're accepted to have confronted a few difficult issues. Jermaine Dupri was their tutor, and he assisted shape their music with careering. Yet as per K. Williams, the mentorship went past the studio and Jermaine, and Diddy supposedly prepped them in manners that go far past the music business. The young men dropped 3 very fruitful collections with Jermaine Dupri, yet rumors from far and wide suggest that both the young men supposedly confronted rehashed cell with both Jermaine and his pal Diddy, who were embroiled in these upsetting claims. As per C. Williams, the supposed say trial pushed Chris Kelly to go to drugs as a method for dealing with the aggravation that he was going through. His battle with drugs went on until 2013, when he was found oblivious at his Atlanta home. Currently, despite the fact that he was hurried to the clinic, he was pronounced dead 3 days after the fact. It was a disastrous disclosure for his family, who interestingly transparently recognized his set of experience of chronic drug use. Now, Jermaine Dupri put out an announcement about how sorrowful he was, and he expressed, "Not to the world Chris was distraught daddy, but rather to me. He was a child I never had. However much you might think I showed him, he showed me. God has favored me to be within the sight of such countless normally gifted individuals, and Chris was one. When I consider it, I invested more energy with Chris than darn there anyone in my entire life. So you can envision how awful this day Mage is." Yet, as individuals began to sort out, he didn't know Chris that well, since he didn't have a clue about a portion of the fundamental things about him, like his age. And afterward, one of the individuals passes at a not just later yet years after the fact. Definitely he passes at a very early one. Was it 30-something? Definitely, I suspect as much. Did you see that approaching at all? Were you all still in contact? No, I didn't. I didn't see that approaching. We was in Chris and Jermaine. He had floated separated over the course of the years in light of the fact that Chris kept away from any contact with Jermaine, yet Jermaine was attempting to guarantee that they were best friends or something to that effect. Yet fans saw an apparent change in Chris Kelly's disposition, since he appeared to be sad and removed in the wake of engaging with Jermaine and Diddy. At first, people chalked it up to the business tension and not really thinking about it. Yet now that these charges are out, it's really sad to envision what Chris was persevering in the background. Jermaine's supposed SA wasn't the main issue, since he supposedly permitted others in the business to do a similar summer in any event, proposing an odd custom among Diddy and Jermaine, where they would purportedly pimp out their specialists to one another and even to others in their internal circle. For instance, there have been reports that Diddy purportedly used to pimp out the individuals from his young lady bunch Danity Kane. And this makes sense of why he was so fixated on them taking a gander at all times. And I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said before many individuals, we were in the studio, and I expressed something to him and left the studio. He said, "Yo, I'm doctor their butt off and get them and pip them out to my. He said, I am a drug them out. I'm a get them generally on medications, and I'm a pimp their butt out to my. I resembled there. Someone kids and left, better believe it you." All this is some lovely, genuinely wrecked stuff, yet back to confound now, since it just so happens they had their doubts about Jermaine from the second they met him. Their instinct let them know that something was off base, despite the fact that they were just 11 and 12 when they met him. Before they began cooperating in an old meeting, Chris Kelly said, "We were playing computer games in this shopping center in Atlanta, when out of nowhere, this man comes dependent upon us and said that he'd like for us to work with him as rap artists." That man ended up being Jermaine Dupri. Chris Smith added, "We had no clue about who he was. Truth be told, I let M Daddy know that I thought the person was presumably a kid. Definitely he essentially took a gander at all of us, entertaining, and inquired as to whether we needed a rap. We were kids, so it resembled asking us either to go to the everyday schedule to become tremendous stars. Clearly we picked the choice of gigantic stars. Currently picture this Jermaine approach. Just several children at the shopping center, unexpectedly proposing to transform them into stars without knowing whether they had any rap abilities. Better believe it's positively giving some sort of unpleasant strives. That is the sort of stuff that gets individuals contemplating whether Jermaine supposedly went far past contribution. A shot at distinction. Feline Williams spilled his teeth, asserting that Diddy wasn't an observer. Possibly he was supposedly in on it too. Now back in 2011, Feline dropped a free form where he had threw conceal at various industry people when it came to Diddy and Jermaine. He had an unmistakable words to say regarding B. Hugh, What's occurred in PU, I'll have returned to you in the event that JD ain't had enough, no doubt Jerain DE ruler of the if you were to ask me child JDPRI little as a kid. Now, one thing about Feline Williams, he doesn't mince his words and he expresses it as it is, which makes the situation significantly more vile, all things being equal, yet it just he deteriorates on the grounds that, as per sources, Diddy was not by any means the only one that Jermaine was supposedly pimping the young men out to, on the grounds that he supposedly likewise pimped him out to Jada Smith. In 1993, you think Jada Pink was ensnaring, she was trapping. With Chris Kelly from Chris Cuz Mismatch was in the room, and he was like Jada pigging is at the entryway. Yet, don't leave, take this weed chill, we like damn.